Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. It's time. It's Monday. We're going to talk about an amazing topic to me because I have never really known the people that were at least, well, quote unquote, present when Steve Jobs got fired. So we found an article on the internet that actually says that these people were investors right then and there, and also were the people that got Steve Jobs eventually fired. This is going to be an epic episode, guys, at least for me, because this is more like some sort of research. I'm not trying to blame anyone. On October 6th, 2008, Tina Brown, former editor of Vanity Fair and The New Yorker, started the Daily Beast? Founded it? I don't know. Interesting, I don't know. Apparently in March 2017, their chief strategy and product officer, Mike Dyer, left for Intel. So he got hired by Intel. Fine. We found this article, right? And I read it, and it's interesting to me because these people were probably present, or maybe even contributing to the fact that Steve Jobs got fired from Apple, which is, well, in the history of technology, one of the biggest mistakes investors have ever made, right? So I'm not here to blame people or to make them look bad or paint them in a dark light or whatever. For me, it's just interesting. It's just research, and I feel like it's very interesting to see what these people are doing right now. So first we got Mike Markkula. He is an American electronical engineer, right? But also a businessman and an investor, according to Wikipedia. He lives in Los Angeles, California. So after he retired from Apple, he went to work from Echelon Corporation, ACM Aviation, San Jose Jet Center, and of course a lot more. Even did stuff on Santa Clara University, which is also really interesting. I feel like after Apple, he became even more successful, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm reading this correctly. Would he make the same call right now? Of course, while knowing what Steve Jobs did afterwards, no. But like with that same knowledge on that time, but just the more experience that he has right now, right? Would he have done the same thing with the knowledge he has right now without considering the knowledge he has about Steve Jobs, right? So same situation with Steve Jobs, same experience and knowledge with him and about him, but just the experience surrounding everything else in his mind right now. Would he have made that same decision, right? It's really interesting. I don't know if we're ever going to get that answer, but hey, it's interesting. So I'm only going to do a few of these investors, right? Because if you want to see the rest of the names that were mentioned in that article, they're also in the description and you can research yourself. But here we got Arthur Rock. And I remember that name also from the movies, so that's really interesting. But Arthur Rock is an American businessman and investor based in Silicon Valley, California. He was an early investor in major firms including Intel, Apple Computer, Scientific Data Systems, and Teledyne? I don't know, something like that. Which is fairly interesting, right? I just want to see more about what he did. Rock started his career in 1951 as a securities analyst in New York City. New York City, okay, interesting, awesome. And then joined the corporate finance department of Hayden, Stones and Company in New York. Sounds expensive. Where he focused on raising money for small, high technology companies. That's interesting. That's cool, right? I mean, it's basically what we call startups now. I mean, every startup is a small technology company now. In 1961, he moved to California. Okay. Along with Thomas J. Davis Jr. He formed the San Francisco venture capital Davis and Rock. Rock was a member of Apple's Inc. board when Steve Jobs got fired. So that is very interesting. I mean, so based on that moment, right? I wasn't in that moment and I don't know what actually happened in that moment. I mean, if you are a venture capital firm, then you also have like people to answer to, right? So it's kind of interesting how that dynamic works, and I can understand if I would sit in their shoes, which is something I can't because I don't have that amount of money, right? But I can imagine the amount of pressure that you have on you, because if you make a mistake right then and there, it's not just you being, well, okay, let's just let him do what he does, because probably the people like his partner around him is probably going to say like, why did you do that? I mean, it's my money too, right? This is just something that I'm just fantasizing about what could be going on in these people's head, right? Probably right now they would make a very different decision because they know what they've done. But back then, I can imagine the amount of thoughts that went into there and be like, okay, can I do this? Do I have the room to just allow this to happen? What's going on? Obviously, keeping him on was the best solution, but I can imagine all the processing that was going on about, like, can I take this risk? Do I want to take this risk with my money? No. Then you would vote him out, right? So it's very interesting. After that, he, in 2003, of course, donated $25 million, which is quite a lot of money, to Harvard Business School to establish the Arthur Rock Center for Entrepreneurship, which is definitely cool. This is definitely an interesting guy, and I am definitely going to be more involved in following what happened and what is going on now, right? So he's also quite old right now. His age is 93 according to Wikipedia, but I still feel like with all his experience right now, this guy must have so much knowledge in his brain right now, which is, I mean, I can't even imagine, I can't even process that. But all this information right now, would he have made that same decision without knowing what Steve Jobs did, right? All of these people, what would they have done? This is just cool, man. I just like this a lot. Okay, cool. So we got another one, and his name is Henry Earl Singleton. Okay, cool. So he was a American electrical engineer as well. So these people, there's this kind of trend there. Business executive and rancher/land owner. It's really interesting. I feel like, okay, so he died unfortunately in '99. Oh, he co-founded Teledyne Inc., which is interesting because Arthur Rock, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, Arthur Rock. So these people stayed in contact, right? So here you see that Arthur Rock invested into the company that Henry co-founded, which is interesting. I definitely want to know more about that. Will be a different video because this is already getting too long anyway. But can you imagine all the knowledge that this guy had, all the experience? I'm just scrolling through Wikipedia right now. You guys can see that, but really interested in these people's like mindset and also like what they did afterwards, what they did during that period, and also like all the experience and knowledge that they have. I'm just jealous. I'm just jealous. Not at their money, but just the amount of, like, maybe also their money, but like with that brain, with that mindset, you don't need the money because it will come eventually anyway, because you have that mindset of getting the money, right? I feel like from all of these people, you can take it all away. Like, not that they would want to, but if you would have done it, you can, and they will build themselves up to that same level, right? Especially when they were younger. They had a lot of this power of like where to invest in and when to invest in it. I mean, you can see that these people are not joking around, right? During his working years, Singleton served as a director of Apple Inc. in 77 to 1980. So that is interesting. Okay. And he was also a member of the MIT Corporation and the MIT Governing Board. Okay. Trustee of the California Institute of Technology. Okay. That is interesting. And even a member of the US Air Force Scientific Advisory Board. This guy must have been doing a lot of things at the same time. Singleton devoted much time to personal computing, programming algorithms, and creating a computer version of backgammon, which is something I'm going to research as well. It's interesting. Specifically for Macintosh fans. I mean, it's me. He was personally a primary financial backer of Apple computers when it was incorporated in 1977. That was interesting. It must have been such an interesting time. So these were just 3 people that I wanted to discuss that at least were present and investing into Apple while that was going down, right? That's really interesting. I feel like that is so interesting that I really want to do more research in there and just do a couple of more follow-up videos about this. I will leave, again, the article in the description down below. And I will also leave the names in the description down below as well, so you can just copy and paste them and research whatever I was researching here right now. You probably saw a few pictures here and there and screenshots of what I was reading. but it's still really interesting to read it for yourself. And then of course we have the clicks, ladies and gentlemen, because this channel is called First Clicks, and I really want to give you guys the first clicks of today. And of course we got Telosive Tech coming in with a video about the insane Blackmagic 12K camera. He is talking about it. He's also a Blackmagic user, so I feel like his perspective is very interesting. Now, to be honest, I don't use Blackmagic products, but I still think it's really interesting to see that this camera is filming in 12K. Definitely click on the first click in the description down below. You will see First Click, and there you will see a playlist with all the videos that I'm going to discuss right now. In that same playlist, we're gonna have Kevin, the Tech Ninja. He's talking about the Galaxy Note 10 Plus, right? So this video is also really interesting if you're not into the Note 10 Plus, but you're just looking for information about the Note 20 Ultra, which I feel like is going to be the next insane Note. Because he's talking about that as well. And of course we got Apple Explained with the history of iOS. All of these people have binge watch worthy channels, so definitely check them out. We have one more click in there, which is the Engadget click, and Engadget is talking about Intel's Thunderbolt 4, which is something that's really interesting, right? Because the next Macs at least are going to come out with ARM architecture chips, right? They're not entirely ARM chips, if I understand it correctly, but they're based on an architecture that is from ARM. And it's really interesting to see that Thunderbolt is probably still going to be enabled on those chips, or at least there's going to be a Thunderbolt controller in there, and that will probably have something to do with Thunderbolt 4 as well. So let's see what happens there. Definitely 4 awesome videos for you to binge watch right now. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. For now, click on.